Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Rewind the Tape. I'm your friendly neighborhood Twisted Soda, joined as always by my co-host, Ben. How are you doing?
Doing well. It's been a minute since he's been here. I think I remember the show, right? This is the one where we knew counting down.
Nope, that is the one we do with our friend on the other side of the world. This is the one where we sit down and we just talk about movies. We just talk about a movie.
Right. My bad, my
In
bad.
this episode, we are talking Twister, a movie that when I finally saw it, kicked myself in the ass for not watching it a lot earlier. I just watched this for the first time a couple months ago.
This is a fun ass movie. I think this is about the second time watching it. Gotta love Bill Paxton. He makes everything that much better.
Oh, totally. The whole cast, like we were talking in the green room. So you've got Bill Paxton, you've got Helen Hunt, you've got Carrie Elways, you've got Philip Seymour Hoffman, you've got Alan Ruck. Like you've got a great cast in
Who,
this.
who played, I didn't recognize her, but who played Bill Paxton girlfriend, the one that he broke up with?
Oh, yeah. Give me a second. I'm actually just Jamie Gertz.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then the one who plays Meg is if anybody has seen the movie Grandma's Boy, she is the crazy one.
I haven't seen that one. So
Okay,
this
adding
is.
that to the list. Yeah. Oh, that's an underrated Sandler production.
That's with Doris Robertson, that, right? Or am I confusing that?
Sorry,
Doris Roberts, the grandmother from Everybody Loves You.
she's the titular grandma.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
with the guy. The fuck? I'm still here. That was weird.
Yeah.
No, that also has Velma. I'm forgetting her name at the moment. Linda
Oh,
Carter,
the bitch who put up Korean Topanga. That's how I call her.
of course, Shill. She's in there. You've got oh God, what's his face? The main guy is the one who played the caddy in Happy Gilmore.
Oh,
Him.
okay. Yeah. Alan something, I think.
Yep. There is an African tribal person involved in there at one point. There's just it's a very funny, underrated, raunchy movie.
It, um, it's a Sandler movie. Is Snyder in it? Robert Snyder?
No, there's cameos by there's cameos by his people. Like obviously David Spade has a cameo. Kevin Nealon has a cameo. Uh,
Nice.
I'm pretty sure Blake Clark has one as well. Nick
Yeah,
supporting cast.
that's why Robert Snyder's not in it. Nick Swanson is like the new version of Robert
Well, this
Snyder.
was the first one that he did with him.
Well, um, again, that's why Robert Snyder wasn't in it.
I don't even
He,
remember Adam Sandler being in it either.
he probably didn't produce it for his friends.
Yeah, no, it's a great movie. Me and my guys in D&D, we quote it. It's so funny, so funny. Oh, and it's got an early role for Jonah Hill.
Really?
Like this is Jonah Hill, 40-year-old virgin Jonah Hill.
Nice.
Like that's how
Yeah.
it is.
Can I just buy these boots with these goldfish in there? I need one to buy them. Why can't you make that easy for me?
Yeah, I would never go to a eBay store. Nope.
What did I want to say? I wanted to ask something. Oh well, must have not been important.
All right.
So this movie was about Twister, right? Twister?
Basically, yeah.
Tornado?
Yeah, it's about a tornado. It's actually about storm chasers.
That seems like a job that is really cool that I would never want to do.
God, no, I'd rather watch it on TV or in a movie, personally. There's actually a great episode of Mythbusters where Jamie was actually tasked with designing basically like a protective suit so they can get as close to the hurricane as possible. That's actually a pretty cool episode. I recommend people go find. They actually did a crossover with the Storm Chasers.
Really? That's awesome.
Yep, highly recommend that. All right, so you ready to start the plot?
Yeah. Man, after you.
In June 1969, a young family takes shelter from an impending tornado. The father, in an attempt to save his family, tries to hold the storm cellar door down but gets sucked into the tornado and killed. Watching in horror are the man's wife and his daughter Jo, who, despite the horror of the storm and losing her father, is entranced by the funnel. The film cuts to the present day, and meteorologists at the National Severe Storms Laboratory, NSSL, are discussing a storm system over Oklahoma which could produce a record outbreak of tornadoes. Meanwhile, retired storm chaser Bill Harding, played by the late great Bill Paxton, and his fiancée Dr. Melissa Reeves, played by Jamie Gertz, are heading out to meet Bill's former storm chasing team to get the final divorce papers from Bill's soon-to-be ex-wife, Dr. Jo Harding, played by the great Helen Hunt, who, since the day her father died, has sworn to hunt down as many tornadoes as possible, not wanting the same fate to happen to someone else. Besides Jo, the team consists of eccentric Dusty Davis, played by Philip Seymour Hoffman, Robert Rabbit Murek, played by Alan Ruck, Navigator Lawrence, played by Jeremy Davies, photographer Joey, played by Joey Slotnick, Alan Sanders, played by Sean Whalen, who is one of those guys like, oh, I know who that guy is.
Hold on, that was Jeremy Davies in this movie?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I thought he looked like him, but I didn't know well, I know him from lots. I don't know where you know him from.
Okay, yeah, he did look familiar, but yeah, okay, I obviously never saw Lost. Tim Belzer Lewis, played by Todd Field. Haynes, played by Wendell Josepher, who rides with Belzer, and Jason Preacher Rowe, played by Scott Thompson. Yes, Scott Thompson. I just wanted to confirm.
Why does that name sound familiar?
Give me a second. Oh, he's in right. Police Academy.
I don't know who did he play?
He's part of that the two cadets who act like the rats to what's his face, the fucking lieutenant. Why am I blanking on this name? Anyways, they're just two bad guys. They're pretty much the butt of Mahoney's jokes a lot.
Okay.
They end up in the now in 2022 not politically correct gay bar.
Yeah.
I love that movie. That's another movie I watched way before I was old enough.
Oh, Police Academy is so funny.
I'm close to wearing out my parents' my VHS copy of it. Like I watched that in number two a lot.
Taco Bell is one of my favorite characters in that movie. I think that guy's name.
Okay, you know what? I'm also going to add a Police Academy 1 and 2 to the list.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, you know what? No, let's do 1, 2, and 3. That's kind of like a weird trilogy.
Okay. After you.
All right. So I'm going to add that. I'll add it afterwards. All right. All right, Jo, who is still in love with Bill, tries to stall because she does not want the marriage to end. Jo then tells Bill she wanted him out on the field because his idea for a tornado analyzing device called Dorothy has been built. They will put it in the path of a tornado to measure it from inside. 4 of the so-called Dorothy weather machines have been built. Haynes tells them of storm activity, and they head out. Bill's rival team shows up, led by Dr. Jonas Miller, played by Carrie Elways, which I don't know how, Ben, you didn't figure that one out.
Fuck you.
And with his assistant, Eddie, played by Zach Grenier, who's another one of those, I know, I've seen him before.
So they're chasing after a tornado now, right?
Yes, now they're going after the tornado. Okay, according to Bill, Jonas is in the storm chasing business for the money, not the science. Bill sees Jonas giving an interview to some local reporters and finds out that Jonas has stolen his idea for the Dorothy weather machine, building his own version called Dot 3, or Digital orthographic telemeter. Bill accuses him of stealing his idea, but Jonas says it was an unrealized idea. Bill decides to
Oi.
with the team for one day in an attempt to beat Jonas.
Thief, thief,
Yeah.
thief.
Uh, Bill's team heads out, and Bill and Joel have a frank discussion of their marriage. Belzer notices a small tornado, an F1, touching down in a nearby field and alerts the team. Joe and Bill drive into a ditch to get in front of it, but cannot get out of the ditch as the tornado closes in. They crash into a small wooden bridge and take cover under it. Joe wants to see the tornado up close, but Bill stops her just as the tornado lifts Joe's truck off the ground. Joe's truck falls in front of Melissa, who is driving Bill's truck. She drives around it, narrowly missing a collision, which, holy crap, that was a stunt.
And then, was this the scene with the cow? Or did we pass that already?
I think this is the cow, yeah, because they were driving alongside a field.
That cow, didn't that cow become like infamous when they were talking about her?
I think so. I seem to remember a pop culture thing involving it.
Like, I remember that being a thing. Maybe, yeah, I remember that being a thing.
Bill comforts her as Joe inspects the damage and takes some of the sensors from the destroyed Dorothy 1 machine. Jonas's team shows up, but it is too late to see the storm and keeps driving. Joe, with no truck of her own, manages to convince Bill to use his new truck to haul the Dorothy machines. Bill's team heads out again as Bill, Joe, and Melissa ride in his truck. Another tornado, a slightly larger F2, has touched down, and both Bill's team and Jonas's team are heading back to intercept it. Bill believes the tornado will shift its track, and his team heads off on a back road. Bill soon drives onto a bridge, and they are caught in some waterspouts, which spin the truck. The team arrives just after the incident, and while Joe celebrates with the team, Melissa breaks down, questioning Bill's old lifestyle. The team goes to visit Joe's aunt, Meg Green, played by the aforementioned Lois Smith, in the nearby town of Waukita, Oklahoma, to rest and eat. Meg tells Joe privately that Joe's marriage with Bill ended because he didn't keep his part of the bargain. As the team
That son of a bitch.
as the team is watching TV, it mentions an F3 tornado, which I love how every tornado just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Of course. Why are you surprised?
It mentions an F3 tornado is active, and the team heads out. Bill and Joe drive together in his truck, and Melissa rides with Dusty in his converted school bus. They almost crash into Jonas's team in an attempt to beat them. Bill's team attempts to figure out where the tornado is because, according to their computers, it is heading towards them on the same road. Bill and Joe realize it is over a hill, and they go through a hailstorm to find it. Upon finding the tornado, Bill and Joe try to set up Dorothy too, but run out of time. The power pole falls onto the truck, ruining Dorothy too. The tornado then lifts back into the clouds. Joe attempts to gather the scattered sensors, but Bill, realizing that the tornado has not dissipated but is simply backbuilding, pulls her into the truck as the tornado drops once more. They drive to a safe distance where Joe jumps out of the truck and attempts to gather the scattered sensors. She grows angry about Bill's attempt to stop her, but Bill tells Joe she is obsessed to succeed with Dorothy to prevent what happened to her family from happening again. He also tells her he still has feelings for her. Melissa and Joe's whole team hear their conversation over the CB radio.
Romance at its best.
Of course, but you know what? It just adds to the movie.
It works. I'm just saying, it's cheesy as hell.
Of course, it's the 90s.
Yeah.
That evening, Bill's team heads to a drive-in theater where Joe signs the divorce papers, while Melissa is in a motel room across the road watching a weather report of more tornadoes nearby. Dusty is watching the radar. Both Melissa's TV and the TV at the concession stand lose their reception as Dusty warns Bill that an F4 tornado is heading right for them. Everyone takes shelter in the pit of a car mechanic's garage while Joe watches it approach, spellbound, much like she had when she was a girl when her father was killed, until Bill's shouting breaks her trance and she gets the theater employees to take cover. The tornado obliterates the theater, destroying several of the team's vehicles, and Preacher is hurt when he is hit in the head by a flying hubcap. That looked like it really hurt.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, great stunt, but yeah, no, I'm good.
Yep.
The tornado passes and the team emerges to inspect the damage. Dusty looks at the radar to find that the same tornado is now heading directly for Wakita. Bill tells Melissa they are leaving to check on Aunt Meg, and Melissa peacefully breaks up with him, saying that she does not want to compete with the need to chase tornadoes.
I will say this. I was relieved that it was a peaceful and amicable breakup.
It was handled like adults.
Normally in these kinds of movies, it would be over dramatic and like over the top usually.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, this was a nice change of pace. I liked it. Makes sense because she's a psychologist.
Like you said, adult.
She tells him she is not at all upset about breaking up, knowing that their relationship would have ended sooner or later, and assures Bill that Joe needs him more. Upon arriving in Wakita, they find the town is destroyed, and Joe realizes there had been no warning. Bill and Joe find Meg's home on the verge of collapse. On entering, they find Meg hidden underneath a bookshelf. Joe and Bill rescue her and her dog Mose before the house collapses. Meg manages to... Yeah?
Do you believe that she would have survived this?
No, God, no.
Okay.
Well, I mean, yeah, people do survive tornadoes all the time, but I mean, like, if there was nobody to come find her, no, I don't think she would survive.
Gotcha.
Meg manages to escape the tornado with nothing more than a bump on the head and a broken wrist, and is taken to a hospital. Before leaving, she tells Joe that she needs to succeed to make sure what happened to Wakita doesn't happen again. Dusty listens to the radio, hearing that meteorologists are predicting rare F5 tornadoes. Joe, yeah, and I'm not talking Brock Lesnar here. Joe comes up with a way to make Dorothy work while watching some wind chimes. She has Bill's team fabricate pinwheels out of aluminum cans and attaches them to the sensors with screws to make them fly. A few hours later, as dawn begins to break, Bill and Joe come alongside a huge, mile-wide F5 tornado in the countryside. They put Dorothy 3 on the road in front of the tornado and then back up, but the wind pushes Dorothy around. Then a tree knocks Dorothy 3 over, scattering the sensors. The storm turns toward Bill and Joe, and they attempt to drive away. They become stuck when a tree wedges underneath the back end of the truck. A tanker fuel truck is pushed alongside the road toward their truck by the tornado and knocks them free before exploding. Bill drives around the wreckage through the fireball, narrowly avoiding catastrophe. Bill drives around of the tornado, dodging as it drops from vehicles on the road in front of him. They end up driving through a small house that is rolled by the tornado onto the road. As Bill and Joe drive away, Jonas and Eddie ride to intercept the tornado and place their .3 pack. Joe and Bill, noticing that Jonas is driving too close to the tornado, warn him to change course, but he ignores them. Eddie wants to heed Bill's warning, but Jonas orders him to keep driving. The tornado hurls a section of a TV tower through their windshield, impaling Eddie. Both teams watch in horror as Jonas's truck is lifted up by the tornado and thrown into the ground, where it explodes, killing both Eddie and Jonas.
That damn Jonas didn't know his own good.
It's from what I was reading, it sounds like he actually had a much bigger role in it originally, and it just seems got deleted and stuff like that.
That would suck. That would.
Bill and Joe then conclude there is one last option left. They head toward a new interceptor point, turn on Dorothy 4 without releasing it from its moorings on the truck bed, and then drive the truck straight at the tornado. With the truck on cruise control, they jump out, letting it drive into the center of the tornado, where it successfully deploys Dorothy 4. The team starts to celebrate as the Dorothy sensors work, analyzing the inside of the tornado, but then notice the tornado shifting. Bill and Joe notice it as well and flee to a nearby barn. They first take cover in a barn, but it is filled with sharp metal tools, because yikes.
Yeah.
It destroys the barn, and they dodge debris as they run to take cover in a small outbuilding. The tornado destroys the structure, and they are pulled upside down while anchored to the pipes. They manage to see the middle of the F5 tornado as it passes over them. It is filled with lightning and a smaller tornado in its core. Seconds later, the entire storm dissipates, and the family from the barn comes out of their underground storm shelter and observe their damaged farm. Bill and Joe debate who will run the lab and who will analyze the new data from Dorothy while the rest of the team arrives. The movie ends with Bill and Joe reconciling their relationship with a kiss while the team celebrates their accomplishment.
Of course. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, Hollywood ending to a 90s. I don't want to call it an action movie because it's not an act.
Yeah, that's it. I had a pre-exposed whatchamacallit. I basically had a preconception of what this movie was. I thought it was more in the vein of like an Armageddon or something.
Right.
Until I actually watched it, and it's like, no, like this isn't a disaster movie, but it's actually a movie about relationships at its core.
I wouldn't even call it a disaster movie. I mean,
well, it is. It's like Dante's Peak, right? Like Dante's Peak is about
right.
destroying things. This is a movie about a tornado destroying things. So it is a disaster movie because tornadoes are disasters, but it's not like it's not like as bombastic as
It's not like an Independence Day.
No, or like I said, Armageddon or something like that. It's definitely not one of those.
Dante's Peak. That's a movie we need to add to.
I've actually never seen Dante's Peak.
I have. It's fun.
Okay.
Fun disaster movie.
Pierce Brosnan and Linda Hamilton, right?
I know Pierce Brosnan. I want to say yes on Linda Hamilton. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, let's find out.
I remember watching it in high school in a class.
Yeah,
Hamilton, yeah. And I don't remember anybody else in that movie.
Yeah, I'm looking at the cast. There's nobody. Well, there's one supporting actor I recognize. Two.
Who? I'm being curious.
Grant Heslov, he played the character Greg. He's a character actor. Like, he's got one of those faces, again, where you'd be like, oh, I know where he's from. I've seen him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so what's the movie for next week, then?
Let me bring it up. 1 minute before doing this live. Okay.
All right, so we have added some to the wheel. So now we are at The Mummy, Face Off, Speed, Godzilla vs. Kong, Godzilla 1998, and the new additions, Tango and Cash, The Goonies, The Karate Kid, and The Karate Kid Part 2. And it's not Karate Kids, Ben.
You know what I mean, shut up.
Jeez. All right, spin the wheel.
I can call it Uncommon Time Prequel. Do you want me to call it that?
No.
Spinning the wheel, 10.
Speed, which I've never seen.
You never seen Speed?
I've never seen Speed.
Damn, that's a fun movie.
And the reason why Ben's cheering is this is the first one that of his that is actually won.
No, actually, I think I heard about it. The first one I've seen.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, it's Speed.
Yeah. All right. So Die Hard on a Bus. Right on.
Well, yeah. Okay.
That's what I've heard. Plus a great Dennis Hopper. Dennis Hopper is a great Dennis Hopper who got his start. He's alongside James Dean.
Keanu Reeves, man. Keanu Reeves.
Yep.
Sandra Bullock.
Sure.
And I wonder if Joe Morton and Jeff Daniels.
Yes, I do know Jeff Daniels is in there. He's the captain, I think.
He's a captain.
Of course, Sandra Bullock. I mean, we would be remiss without mentioning her. Joe Morton. Alan Ruck, of course.
Oh, another Alan Ruck movie. I forgot about that.
Yeah, this is because, like I said, never seen it. So let's right on. All right, Ben. Where can everybody find you?
You guys can find me at my Twitter, man_Rainy, or on my YouTube channel, the Multi-Music Kingdom, every Monday on Fellowship of Kingdom, every Tuesday on the Kingdom Initiative, every Wednesday on Jedi Academy, every Friday on the Weekly Kingdom, every Sunday on Kingdom Uncut. You guys can find me right here on the Northern Entertainment Group, every Tuesday right here on the Rewind and Take, and every Saturday morning on the New Moon Countdown.
Man, I thought I was busy. Holy crap. So a lot of my busyness happens off camera.
But my business is fun. I don't know about yours.
Not always. All right. So, and as for myself, this when I'm not at work or at band rehearsal or at play rehearsal or at an executive meeting or oh my lord or house sitting, you can find me on my personal Instagram and Twitter at soda__saxman. And of course, you can find me on the shows that Ben mentioned on this channel over on the Northern Entertainment Group, as well as Wednesdays on the Squared Slice, which the last few weeks we haven't done because, well, hey, literally, I just mentioned all the stuff that I do in my spare time. Next week, no, not next week. The week after, we'll probably be back because I will have Wednesdays off again. And of course, Saturdays over on the Let's Get Ready Network on the Blokes of Wrestling podcast. So, on behalf of myself and Ben, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and let us know in the comments what you think of Twister. And we will see you next week as we speed along to speed. Have a good evening. Oh, my Lord.